forward to this computer. How is everybody? How y'all doing? Amanda, Miss Patty, Miss Rena. So fun to see you. All right. So I had this inspiration over the weekend. I was thinking about like the big picture in our industry. And we get very wrapped up in how do I, like Gina and Melody and I were just talking about how you do Canva and how you do, Social Hub and all these little details and stuff. But sometimes it's good to just pull back and talk about what are the true overlying, is that a word? It's not a word. Overarching, that's a better word. Overarching concepts that really create a thriving business. And I don't mean in-person parties or Facebook parties, I mean overall. And I was thinking about some things really passionately over the weekend that I thought, you know what, I need to just create a little training on this. And I've done things like this in the past. And I promise you that there are more than 5 secrets to a thriving business. But these are the 5 that, hey Jill, but these are 5 that were really hitting me hard. And if I thought longer, I could come up with 5 more, but I think these are 5 that I think will resonate with you. They're not in any particular order. So, and one of them actually is a 4-part one. So that makes it actually 8, but 5 is a better number. So because the one that's actually 4 is it's the 4 matter. So, so the first one I call CPTT. So CPTT is the one that's the 4. CPTT, I've trained on this for years and years, but not too much lately. And we need to go back to it. So CPTT is consistency, persistence, training, and time. Consistency, persistence, training, and time. In 19 years in the industry, these 4 things are key to success. And the interesting thing is that if you delete any one of them, you're not going to have the recipe. It's like making a pound cake. If you leave out a pound of butter or you leave out a pound of flour, you're just not going to have your pound cake. And it really is going to fall flat despite your best efforts. So consistency, let's think about what these things are. Consistency is doing something every single day or most days, right? And think about doing exercise. Now I could say I'm going to exercise every Saturday, right? I wouldn't get very fit. I might feel good about it or not at all, but I wouldn't get very fit because it's too short spurts don't get you a whole lot of progress. But think about it. What if you exercise 3 times a week? 3 times a week would really get you somewhere. 4 times a week could get you somewhere, right? So consistency is important. Doing something every day or many days in a row. Persistence is different. It's don't stop. So it means don't stop just because you don't. So keep going even if you don't feel like it. Keep going even when your brain says, yeah, I worked really hard yesterday, I deserve a day off, or I deserve a week off, or I'm too emotional today, or there's just too much going on this week, right? That lack of persistence will interrupt your consistency. And I think about it in 2 ways. The first one is sort of like on a bike. It takes persistence to gain momentum, because if you keep stopping and starting, you're not going to gain momentum. And this business really is one of momentum. Now, that's not to say that someone can't come in, have a really fun time, work for a few months, take a few months off, come back in, work for a few months, take a few months off. And I know people who do that all the time, and that's okay. But I wouldn't call that a thriving business. I would call it a hobby. And if you want a hobby, that is great. You can do it, catch as catch can, whenever you feel like it. But if you want a business, the persistence is critical to building momentum. The third one is training. But I don't want you to confuse that with I have to train and learn it all and then go and do it, because this is on the job training, every bit of this. One thing that I've discovered is that the more mistakes you make, the faster you will learn and earn. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to try and fail. And I use the word really carefully because honestly, there's no failure. If you're trying and you are working this and doing the next thing, there really is no failure. There's simply learning. And so the more mistakes you make, the faster you're going to learn and the faster you're going to earn. It's just the way it is. I have made every mistake in the book. I don't know how many times in this, but I didn't quit, right? And we're going to talk about that part in a minute. Like how do you keep it from becoming how do you keep failure from becoming personal? And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So training is learning as you go, not just read all about it and then maybe I'll start doing it. You got to be in motion. And the fourth one is time. So the depth of success takes time to develop. And I love the garden analogy. You know, we plant seeds, we water, we dig out the weeds, we put up a hedge against the rabbits, right? And we do some more weeding, we do some more watering. And sometimes right in the beginning, you're going to see little shoots come up, right? But that's not your crop. That's not your flowers. The flowers take time to develop. And it's the same as this. Depth of success takes time to develop. So you have to give it time. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people really making progress. They can't see it because it's like an iceberg. I can see it. It's down here underneath the water. They can't see it. All they can see is what's up here. And they quit right before they were about to gain that traction from the persistence, but then they give up. So CPTT, super important. Number 2 is it's not personal. And you'll love this because number 3 is it's personal. You're going to go, why is this crazy? Number 2 is it's not personal. So think about it. What's the emotion that we feel when we cannot book any parties? When we just can't get any parties booked? What's the emotion?
Anxiety.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Right. What else?
Failure.
Sense of failure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Frustration, maybe. Right. Self-criticism turns into what's wrong with me. All the others are doing it. I hate seeing their success. Why can't I do this? Right. And, you know, of course, we know that comparison is the thief of joy. Right. And it's an important thing to remember in this. But the reality is we need to learn how to turn what feels negative, but isn't actually, into a positive. And the question we need to ask ourselves whenever we start to feel that negative, the anxiety, is what can I learn? What can I learn that will help me figure this out? Who can I go to help me? Because I promise you there's an answer. Not one of you is a unicorn. You can book parties. Just because you are struggling to book parties at the moment doesn't mean that you can't book parties. But the hard part is that if you keep telling yourself, I can't book parties, I'm a failure, I'm anxious, and no matter what I try, I'm not going to be able to book any more parties. That is a cycle that we need to get out of by reminding ourselves that this is not personal. It's not about me and my worth. It's not about me and my skills and abilities. It simply means I need to learn something. That's it. I need to work with my upline, my leader. Call me. I will sit with you for an hour and I will help you book parties, because I need to book parties too, right? Sometimes it's just simply a procrastination issue for me. Sometimes it's a skill issue for all of us. But you can book parties. You can host coach. You can sponsor. I promise you, because you're not a unicorn and you are fully capable of doing this. But when we ingest that this is now about our worth, it becomes personal. We need to trade up our thinking and say, you know what? I have not tried everything. Therefore, I cannot be frustrated. I have not learned everything there is to learn. Therefore, I cannot be anxious. Okay. Because there is an answer to this and I'm going to find it. And that's where the persistence comes into play. So it's not personal. It's not personal. But number 3 is, it is personal. Because this business is about people and not products. Always. I don't care what product you're selling. And some of you come from other companies in the past, which is awesome. And some of you may go to other companies in the future and work with other product lines. But it's never about the product. It's always about the people. Customer care, even on a really basic level, even if you're not organized, even if it's not, like a fabulous routine, and I get it, it matters the most, because People may not really remember what you sold them, what you said to them, but they're going to remember how you made them feel by helping them to feel special. And every customer and every host is a special person. And we want to treat them as special, and we want to treat them like friends. One of the most important things that I learned early on is to treat each customer as if I already know them. And I don't mean to be, what's the word? Like too personal. You know what I mean? Like too familiar. But I want to treat every customer, every guest at a party as somebody that I already know and like. And it really makes a difference when I do that, as if they are an old friend and I'm seeing them, right? Because they will respond to that level of friendliness and care. That's really what matters, is the experience. It does pay off in business, but that's I don't want to sound mercenary about it. This is a people first kind of a business that we're in. And the neat thing is that Zig Ziglar said, when you help enough people get what they want, you'll have everything that you want. I've seen it in the reverse. You can have everything you want in life when you help enough other people get what they want. It's all a part of it. It's all about tuning into other people. So CPTT, it's not personal, it's personal. And number 4 is the hostess is the mostess. It's funny. I think this is literally the number 1 miss. And Kay Higby, if you ask her, our head of sales, what's the number 1 miss in all of direct selling and training, she'll say it's host coaching. I couldn't agree more. So think about it. What happens when you have a very few people at a party? Do you get very many orders? Do you get very many bookings? Do you get very many consultant leads? Nothing. But when you have high attendance, we have a lot of orders. When you're in a live party setting, people are not going to feel awkward or compelled that they have to buy something. There's more breathing room. There's more fun in the room when it's a live party, because it's not just 3 people staring awkwardly at each other and wondering, I have to buy something because this poor hostess, right? More parties get booked because so much more fun was had, and people love it, and then they want to do the business with you. And so the really cool thing is that, again, it's a learning process. And when we help that hostess to invite properly, she will have a great party, more than likely than if we didn't help her. We now have 2 new checklists in the back office. One is host coaching for online parties, and the other is coaching for live in-person parties. Not everybody is a checklist girl. I'm not exactly a checklist girl, but I'm not a good systems person. But the principles are critical. And I want to encourage you to print those 2 documents out and really read them for content and think, all right, what party am I working on right now? How can I do these things? The number 1 reason I've asked people, the number 1 reason why we don't do a good host coaching is because we don't want to bother her. We don't want to make it seem harder than maybe it ought to be, right? Because we promised her a fun, fast, and easy experience and that we were just going to do all the work. And now we're afraid to ask her to do something. But we can paint the picture of think how fun it's going to be when you have 10 people at your party, whether it's live or on Zoom or in person or whatever. And think about what it's going to feel like when we have that $1,000 party with those 10 orders and that $600 in jewelry this month. When we can create that image in her head, she will be way more likely to take your direction and partner with you. That is the number 1 thing. The hostess is the mostess. Every now and again, you're going to find somebody who is automatically great at it. That's not most of them. That's not even me. I'm not even a great hostess for my own parties or any other party that I host. I'm not. I need to be coached. It's terrible. Most people are like that. But that is key. If you can learn to do one thing well, it's host coaching, because that'll get you far. The last thing is you get what you focus on. You get what you focus on. Written goals are the number 1 key in your business. Without a goal, it's just a wish. That's it. Yeah, I wish I could get to 5,000 in sales. Yeah, I wish I could, whatever. I'll never forget, a couple years ago, we had luggage, Touchstone crystal luggage. Oh, it's so pretty. I love it. And, it comes around the conveyor belt at the airport and nobody else has it unless you're on a company trip in which everybody has it, right? So hopefully I'm hoping that once they introduce the trip again, that they'll do the luggage for us again, because it's really great. So the luggage thing came around and I started off really slow that month and I was like, I won't get it. But by about mid-month, I thought, because I had to 5,000 in sales, I thought, oh, I want that luggage. I realized I wanted the luggage. I wrote it down, bold letters on a piece of paper, put it on my desk. I was looking at that thing every day. Luggage, 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 luggage. And because it was in the forefront of my mind, my brain was constantly thinking about how am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? Sure enough, I did it. But it was because the power of your brain focusing on something is way more powerful than you can believe. But it has to know what to focus on. So often we go, well, I'd love to be able to, I'd love to, well, maybe I'll be able to. I'm going to see what happens. Oh, when I see what happens, I don't like what happens. I don't know about you all. Most people are afraid to set a goal simply because they don't want to fail. But let me ask you the question, what's failure? What is failure? Why is that failure if you don't hit a goal? Wouldn't you get farther if you set the goal and push toward it than you would have if you hadn't? It's not the goal that's critical. It's having a destination that's critical. It's having a push toward the destination that's critical. And that makes the difference. And the cool thing is that it causes you to be really ingenious, right? To figure out stuff. So the month that I had 2 weeks left to figure out how to sell enough to get the luggage, I had to get ingenious. I had to stop and think, all right, well, wait, what's my plan? How am I going to do this? I had to get a little strategic, right? Because I had a goal. And that strategy became a quick little action plan that I could put into place. Any of you can do this. You can say if you're stuck, like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Like you want the speaker set, the Swarovski speaker this month, you want that, but you don't really have a plan in place. That's okay. We've got time. Talk to your upline leader and say, okay, I really want this. Here's where I am. I have no parties on my calendar. What do I do? I really want this. This is my goal. We figure it out. We figure out a strategy. Okay, how much time have you got? Who are your options? Who are we going to talk to first? Cut to the chase. We keep it really simple. We get so bogged down in, it's just too big. It's not too big. I promise you it's not too big. It takes a goal and a strategy. And forgetting the idea that failure is even a thing, because who cares? You don't make it, you got a whole lot closer than you would have if you hadn't tried, right? And you're going to build skills and abilities for the next time. So those are the kinds of things that are terribly important. Sorry, my dog is he's going to bark here in a minute because he's going to want to go out. The other dog is she out? Yes, the other one is still out. So he's like, I want to go out now too. I want to go out. So CPTT, it's not personal. It's personal. The hostess is the mostess, and you get what you focus on. So those are my key things. So any nuggets, anything that you got out of that I'd love to hear what resonated with you. You have to unmute, sorry.
The get what you focus on and developing a plan. I'm one of those people that I will want something, I'll see it, and then I'm like, I get too caught up with the entire to do instead of kind of breaking it down and saying, okay, well, let's figure out what are the steps that I would need to accomplish to get there. Perfect example, I'm currently doing a month-long vendor party. I looked at it at the beginning of this month. I just signed on Lori, and so I'm trying to help her. And I was like, I was about to text the person that runs the party and say, I can't do it. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do it with work and everything else.
No.
Right before I went to I was going to text her, someone booked a party from that vendor party. Wow. So I said to myself, you know what? what if something else comes out of this? Don't get so caught up with how am I going to do it? You'll figure it out at the end of the day. Like that's what we all do every day between
Figure it out.
work and
Yeah.
everything else that we do. You figure it out. So I'm glad I stuck with it. Still not sure how the parties are going to start running this week. So we'll see what happens. But I'm getting better at not talking myself into it, but not allowing myself to talk myself out of things because I don't think that I'm going to.
It's important to gain that kind of confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is when we can't book a party, when we can't blah, 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 whatever it is, we lose confidence in ourselves rather than, and again, it's not personal. Instead of going to like what you were saying, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make a strategy. I'm just going to do it. That's great.
And also breaking it down into little things. Because I looked at it as, okay, we're supposed to be posting for an hour, this amount of times throughout the month.
Wow.
How can I fill up that time? How am I going to go about it? So I took a step back. And once I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, well, wait a minute. If I do something here, then I can also use this for my personal VIP group. So I'm actually doing one big job, but I'm helping myself out in two different areas.
That's creative.
So once you you have to sit down with it though. You have to actually sit down with it and just process what needs to be done and then break it down into the little steps of, how to do it.
I think that's really smart because otherwise we do things on the fly.
That was me.
Rather than intentionally. Yeah. I get that way too, because I'm like you, I'm a high idea generator and I'm like, oh, great idea. Boom, go do it. And it's, but working with that strategy really is better use of our time. Yeah.
It's causing me to focus my squirrel brain.
Yeah. Who else? Oh, Sparkle One says she has conversations with herself. Let's see what she said. Yeah, that's right. It's really important. We need to stop listening to ourselves and start talking to ourselves. Tell ourselves what's true. Who else? Jill.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think just the first one, consistency. I'm not consistent. It's like, okay, I'll have a Saturday afternoon and I'm like, oh, I'm going to work on this. And then I'll let it go for a few days. So I think, and then it does tie down to number 5, you get what you focus on. So, back to Rena, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, but okay. So you were saying, have a plan and I can be consistent if I say, okay, every day I know from 8 to 9, I have no meetings. I just dropped my daughter off from 8 to, 8:30. I can shoot 5 emails out and I can make 5, have 5 texts and do a couple extra posts. And it's really, like you said, it's easy. It's either that or I'm scrolling through Facebook, looking at other people's lives, which doesn't yield me really anything, right? So
I call it the scroll hole.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, what am I even looking at this point? I don't even care.
A giant sucking sound. I get it.
Yeah. So might as well be productive, right? But I just have to, like you said, you've got to get into that. It's almost like a habit. Okay.
Yes.
I come home, as soon as I shut the door, grab my coffee, that should trigger in my brain, okay, do a couple of these things that'll yield me some results. So
smart. I love that. And I love to see what I love about it too, Jill, is that then it's not anything heroic.
Yeah.
Right. It's just inserting some things intentionally into the day or several times during the week. And they all add up.
Right.
And it's interesting. People who earn incentive trips, for example, it's not supposed to be heroic. People who get to top levels, that's not supposed to be heroic. That's just supposed to be consistency of effort. That's all. Yeah. And so I love what you've said, that you're going to you're finding a way to carve it into your day because you care about it and it matters to you. I love that.
Yeah.
Really good. Good stuff. Good stuff. Anybody else? Is there one last one? Heather.
Just what you were saying about the 4 pieces. I feel like I'm really struggling with that right now. Like I have them and I know what to do, but I just need to get it all at a balance, get it all together to do it. Because like you said, it won't work unless they're all turning at the same time, I guess.
Yeah. The nice thing is that whenever I get really overwhelmed, I remind myself that all I need to do is book a party. I just need to book a party. That's it. And be very granular about it, because everything else happens when I have a party. You know, all the other skills, all the other, everything else is, a party is forward motion to me. Everything else feels stagnant and just like fluff. Social media feels like fluff. I mean, even though I know it isn't, but that actively booking a party is where stuff, the good stuff happens. So, I understand about the balance, because, and then our brains could start spinning. Especially when you're super busy like you are, Heather.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird though, because I thought I was gonna have, pet sitting when people weren't traveling. So I thought, oh yeah, I can do this now. And just, now people are traveling. So I'm trying to decide, maybe I need to choose touch, and I really love Touchstone. So I'm like seriously thinking like, I really want to choose this, maybe, because I was thinking of either actually hiring people before the pandemic or quitting